This video is all about the xTool apparel printer behind me here, and specifically how to use the software xTool Studio to power this machine and make a shirt from start to finish. Hey there, I'm Sarah. You're watching Creative Ramblings. I've had this printer for a little while. We have talked about it here on this channel. There is a playlist down below if you want to take a look at my other videos. Today's video is going to focus on the software xTool Studio. So we're doing this now for a couple of reasons. When this printer first came out, it was powered by XCS, or xTool Creative Space. In September of 2025, xTool released Studio, and going forward, this is going to be their only software that powers all of their machines. So I have recently switched over for all of my lasers and now for my apparel printer from XCS to Studio. So if you are looking at getting this printer, or if you have it, but maybe you haven't switched over to Studio yet, I want to help you here. So we are going to use the machine and the oven paired with xTool Studio. We are going to make a shirt from the very beginning all the way through the software, print it, bake it, press it, turn it into a t-shirt. So I hope you'll follow along with me and give yourself some confidence to create with Studio and the printer. So let me share with you the equipment that I have here. So I have the Apparel printer up on top and the oven down below. And next to it, I have it hooked up to the AP2, which is the purifier. This whole system works all together beautifully. I just need to make sure it's plugged in and on. And the only other thing I do is I crack a window on the other side of my studio here to allow for some good airflow. I am using xTool Studio, as we talked about, so I'm going to show you that in a minute. I have a really nice t-shirt that we're going to put this on, and I have a link down below to Clothing Shop Online. They are a great place to get blank apparel. You can buy 1 or 100 shirts. There are bulk discounts, but it is a store that allows you to buy small quantities as well, and they have every brand that you could think of for blank apparel. So there's a link down there and a discount code for you. You're also going to need a heat press. I am using a manual press from HTV Runt. I'll link that down below as well. Really basic manual press. It works excellently, and I love it for this process. Going into this, I highly recommend that you have a design already that you want to put on your shirt. xTool Studio is excellent for manipulating graphics and maybe adding a little bit of text here and there, but it's not really a design software. So we're not going to be able to do any rasterization. We're not going to be able to do any knockout. There is some editing you can do with AI. There is a way to take out some background and crop, and I'll show you all that. But ideally, if your image is ready to go in whatever design studio you're using, that's going to be best. So I'm going to come into this project with a design already ready to go. So my printer is on. It is just sleeping right now. So I'm going to hit this button, wake it up, and it hasn't been woken up yet today, so it's probably going to do a little bit of a cleaning cycle. You always want to leave your printer on. It does maintenance automatically, and then every couple of days I make sure I'm printing or running a cycle. My oven does not stay on, so I need to just flip the switch on that. Now that my oven is on, I can start preheating it right away. And my AP2 is hooked up down below. So it has an exhaust tube that's hooked up from the purifier to the machine. It's important to turn all this on right away so that when we go into Studio, everything automatically connects via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth.
This is the home screen for xTool Studio. When you log on, you've got some of your recent projects, you've got templates, you can log in up in the top corner here. We are going to click on New Project. Keep in mind that xTool Studio runs every machine that xTool makes, so it also runs all of their lasers plus the apparel printer. There are going to be some functions within here that just don't apply to the printer. I'm going to give you a good overview of what you may or may not use in here. So let's start up on the very top. I already turned on my machine and I have used it with this software before, so it automatically connected. It's got that little green dot that says it's ready. I can click on this switch device button. This is how you would switch to another laser, or if your machine wasn't connected, you would just click on it here until it is connected. These three dots take you to device settings if there's anything else you need to do with your printer. You need to update firmware or software. You can also add accessories. So our shaker oven is connected and the AP2 is automatically connected. I have connected these before, and they were on, so it just makes sense that they're going to connect again. If they don't, you come up here to this little add button and it'll search for that Bluetooth connection. So I've got my printer connected. Down here, the oven has a green dot and the AP2 has a green dot. So we're all ready to go as far as that being connected. Let's come over to the left side here. You've got a couple of buttons. This is our save button. This is our upload to MySpace. MySpace is the online cloud storage for xTool, and as long as you're logged in, you do have a limited amount of space to use there. Right now I'm working on a desktop computer, and I like this, it has a bigger screen. I will often design on this computer, upload to MySpace, take it to my laptop, and then do printing from there or lasering from there. This next button down is the upload button. So let's import a design. This is a PNG. I found this on Creative Fabrica. It comes in a little large, so I'm going to leave everything selected and come up to the top here and just bring this down to like 6 inches for now so we can work with it. You can notice that this is a nice colorful design and the background is removed because I can see all the grid behind it. So this design is really ready to print. The next button down here is a text button. So if you brought in a photo or something, but you wanted to add text, you can do that. Up on the top, you can pick from a ton of different fonts that xTool has. It will also recognize any font that is on your computer. When we have text selected here, we get a whole bunch of new options up on top. So we picked our font. We can do regular. Sometimes there's a bold option. There is a welding option if it was a script font. But this next one here is styles, and this only appears when you have text selected. So it has all different styles that we could make our text. There's some basic ones, there's some gradients, there's all kinds of different things here. So we could pick one that we like. And then the next button here is fill. And so we are filled with pink because that's what we picked in styles, but I could change that here. I could go to gradient and make it a gradient that I like and change that around. The next button here is stroke. So it is outlined in that pink color. We can change that to a black, and we can change the width of our stroke as well. So there's a lot of things you could do with text if you wanted to add some text to an image. The next button down are some basic shapes you can draw. This is templates. I'm going to click on this and just show you what this is. It's not really applicable to the printer. There's a ton of laser cut templates in here. There are some photos that you could use for printing, but not a ton. It's really geared toward lasers. The next button down is elements. And so there's some nice stuff you could use in here if you wanted to add a little something to your design. So if we just pick a plant here, we have a lot of the same options that come up. So we could fill this with any color. Maybe we do a green for the leaf. We could add a stroke, outline it. And the next button that comes up is offset. So let's say that I wanted to add a background to this image. I wanted to make it nice and thick. I can kind of change the rounding or the squareness of the corners here. And then I have an offset, and I can separate that a little bit. But once I have that offset, I can go back to fill, and let's say I want to make it white because I'm printing this on a dark shirt and I want it to be white. I want to change the fill to white, but then I also want to change the stroke to white. So I just have a full white background. So now if I want to bring them together, I'm going to click on the white one here and come up to this button on the top and send this all the way to the back. Then highlight both of these and come to the arrange button, or the alignment button, excuse me, and align center. This puts the white behind the leaf. Now it is kind of hard to see on here. If I right click, I'm using a Windows PC here. If I right click anywhere on the canvas, I can click on this light dark canvas and change it to a dark background. That helps me see that white a little bit better. And I can, play around with the placement of this a little bit. So I wanted to show you those options because there are definitely things you can do with text and with graphics. But if you want to, I would really use Studio for printing and not for designing. So we're going to delete all of that. And I'm actually going to go back to the light canvas here so I can see all of my image. Down here under applications, there's not a whole lot you can do. A lot of this is really for lasers. There is MySpace right here, which would show you all of your files that you've uploaded to their cloud. And then there is an AI button here as well. This would allow you to give some prompts and make all kinds of graphics if you want to use their AI features. It does cost credits to do this. I have about 170 credits here. You can buy more. They're pretty reasonable. So that's there for you if you want to use it. So let's bring in one more thing. So I want to show you a few more elements here. This is just an autumn pattern that I'm going to bring in, and it's going to be really big when it comes in, so I want to scale it back a little bit. So this is a pattern here, and I have another option up on top. This is a mask. So if I click on mask, and I already had selected the pattern, I can pick one of these shapes, and it's going to essentially cut out my pattern. And I can adjust it to be any size and then hit done. And then I have that same fill and stroke buttons here, so I could add a nice outline, and I can use this little color picker here to add a dark outline, make it nice and thick. So that mask button is kind of neat, and then you can release the mask too. So let's release that mask, get rid of that, and we also want to take the stroke off of this. When you are clicked on an image, so this pattern here or this all booked up one, we're going to stick with the pattern though, you can come up to the edit button. There are a lot of options for editing photos here. The ones on the bottom I would typically use for editing for laser engraving, but up on top there's some things we can do here. So on the very, very top is adjustments, and I could adjust the color, the brightness, if I wanted to tweak my image a little bit. Then we have the crop tool if I just wanted to make it smaller. In AI cutout, now, anything that says AI is going to cost you AI credits, but there is a manual free option in here. We're going to wait till the AI does its thing, but we're not going to save it. You can see down in the bottom, it says that that would cost me 6 credits. So the AI cutout kind of took out the background if I didn't want that cream color. But I can go over to manual cutout here and use this magic wand to take out the background. This isn't really something I would want to remove the background on, but you can do it and you don't have to use AI credits for it. So that might be helpful if you bring in an image and you haven't already removed the background. So I'm going to cancel there. There's a number of other options here that just allow you to edit and play around with your image. So we are going to delete that. Bring this one over. This is all ready to go. I don't need to do anything to this. I just need to size it. I know I want it to be 9 inches wide, and our aspect ratio is locked so that the height will automatically adjust, keeping that ratio. So now we're going to go over to the right here. All of our machines are selected. This is the xTool DTF film. That's the only film that I have, so I don't need to pick any other material. Down below under reference, these are all the default settings. And to be honest with you, on almost all of my prints, I use these default settings and I don't change them. But let's talk a little bit about what they are so you have a good understanding. So I can click adjust and then I'm able to adjust my settings. If I adjust anything, I can click save and it'll save as a user-defined setting. So if I know that that's what I want for my next print, I already have it there. So I can change my DPI. Standard seems to do really well for me. Then we have this white ink fill. And when you do a DTF print, it's going to print all of this color. Then it's going to put a whole bunch of white behind it, and that's going to help it stick to the shirt. Object area fill means white is only going to go behind the color. The other option here is image area, and if I hover over it, it shows you what it does. It'll print a whole square of white behind it. You can also do spot color, which would only put white behind certain things, or you can do no fill, which means no white. I have only ever printed with object area fill. The next option here is feather, and this is a percentage. And if I hover over it, I think it'll show you. So I keep my feather on 100%. It helps your colors blend together really nicely. If you lower it, you're going to get a little more of a harder contrast between your colors. White ink reduction is something you might want to play around with. If you are printing and you notice that, let's say around these letters, you're actually getting a white outline, like that white is sticking out, and you don't want that, you might want to reduce your white ink a little bit. I'm actually putting this on a white t-shirt, so it's not going to matter. But if you are printing on a dark t-shirt, that may really matter to you. So your white ink reduction is what you want to play around with. Bidirectional helps us go faster. Keep it there. And then we have ink volume, and this is set by whether you choose standard, draft, or ultra. So I leave mine the same here. We do have a color settings button. Again, I leave these the same. They seem to work just fine. When you are first starting out, leave these as is unless you notice an issue with your prints. Then you can come back and change this. We've got the number of copies. We definitely want to mirror this because it prints upside down, and then we adhere it to our shirt. So we always want to mirror, especially for text. Down on the bottom are a couple of options here. This is mock-up, so I am able to see how this is going to look on a t-shirt. And I've got a couple different options for shirts here. I can move it around. I can also do these cool things where I could actually see the shirt on a person, and I can adjust it around here. My absolute favorite part of this is right up here, I can download this photo. So I can add this to my website to show my customers, or I can email it to a customer to say, this is what it's going to look like. So this mockup is pretty cool, and there are a ton of different options for you to use. So you're going to X out of that because we don't need to use that right now. Next to the print button on the right, there is a little arrow. And what I use this for is this color band right here. Normally when you print, you get a color band that just helps the printer kind of, it prints colors on the side. I always thought of it as the printer just testing itself to make sure it's working. I like that were able to take that off because you have to cut that off anyway before you print. Or before you press. So I like to click on none for that. Then we can hit print. Shows you exactly what it's going to look like. So it is mirrored. It's showing me my estimated time for printing. When you are using the oven, it is going to take about 10 minutes for that to come through the oven the first time. If I were to print 20 of these in a row, the consecutive prints are going to go much, much quicker. This calculate button right here is pretty cool. So it shows us how much ink we are using, how much film we're using, and based on the MSRP cost of the ink and the film, this is what it's going to cost me to print this. That doesn't include the cost of the shirt. It doesn't include my time that I'm putting into this, but I love this feature in here. You can also come in and hit edit, and you can change your currency depending on where you're selling. And you can also change the price of the film or the ink. So if you know that you're paying more or you got a really good deal and you're paying less, you can change that around. We are ready to go. Let's hit print.
As this is printing, it prints the color first, and now you can see right on the top of the letters, it's starting to print the white. So the color is going to come through, the white's going to come through. The oven is on and running, and there's a nice piece of glass over this so that we are not breathing in all of this stuff. This is the powder right here, and it's going to start pushing that film through and then shaking the powder onto it. What I love about this enclosed system is that it keeps me safe. So the fumes are being picked up by the purifier, which is down on the other side. And this powder, which is a very fine powder, is not getting on my hands and I'm not breathing it in. The first end of the film is just starting to feed through here. And so the powder is going to drop down on the film. And those little dots, or those little holes on the side of the film, are going to grab right in here. It's going to pull it forward, put all the powder on it, and then shake that powder off. And you can watch it then go down from here into the oven. Once the printing is completely done, the film will get cut off by the print head and it will pull completely into the oven. And then we wait for that powder to be cured. Tells us that heating's at just about 20% and that printing has completed. Okay, the print is done. It just spit it out down there. So I'm actually going to turn my oven off because I'm not doing anything else with it now, just to make some of that noise go away before we move on to pressing this. This is the heat press we're going to use next. It has a little control panel out here, and I have this set to 315, and we're gonna do about 10 seconds. So I'm gonna let that heat up. And then this swings away, which I really like swing away versus ones that go up and down. I'm going to need a piece of Teflon for our second press. So we're just gonna let that heat up. This is the t-shirt I'm using today. Again, go take a look at Clothing Shop online. I've linked them down below. They have a ton of different brands of t-shirt. This is a really heavyweight, 100% cotton shirt. It feels amazing when you're wearing it, which is why we're going with this one today. The other thing I'm using is a t-shirt ruler, and I'll show you how I use this. So the first thing I want to do is pre-press the shirt, really to get any wrinkles out. Because if there's wrinkles, I don't get everything lined up exactly how I want it. And again, it's not even heated up all the way. I just want to press it for a couple seconds to get those wrinkles out before I put my print on. Now we can use the t-shirt ruler. So it has a little place here that lines up with the neckline. And you want to make sure you're checking the sides so that it's even between the seams of the arms here and that it's coming down the same distance from the top. So it just really helps you center your design. Okay, let's take a look at our print. This is what it looks like from the front. But this is where the printing happened. So the color went down, then the white, then the powder went over it, and the oven cured the powder. It's kind of hard to see in this here, but you want the powder to have this orange peel texture. So when I run my finger over it, it feels like the skin of an orange. There is no powder that's loose on here. Sometimes I will get a little bit of powder, like there's a little bit around the K here, just kind of extra. If I tap it a little bit, that tends to go away. On a white shirt, I'm not gonna see that at all. But if I were to have extra powder and put this on a dark shirt, it is possible that some of that could show up. So we wanna make sure there's no extra powder. Now there's a lot of feed on the top here, so I'm just gonna cut off the top. And now we're gonna line it up with the t-shirt ruler. So what I like to do is fold it in half, don't crease it, just gently fold it, and I'm gonna line up the edges of the designs, and I'm gonna make a crease above the design, not on the printed part. That just gives me a little line showing me where the center is. There's a center line on the t-shirt ruler, so I can line that up right there. Now we're hanging off a little bit, so I am going to move my t-shirt ruler. And then just pull this whole thing up a bit. We don't need a covering on this right now. We're just going to pull this in and let the timer go for 10 seconds. I'm not gonna peel this right away. I am gonna let it cool down just a little bit. Everything is cool, we can start to peel. If you start to peel and anything comes up, put that back down, press it again. But everything looks really, really good. So this looks awesome. Love the way it feels. We need to do one final press. So I'm gonna put a piece of Teflon over the design, press it for another 10 seconds. And our shirt is done. All right, we made a shirt start to finish using xTool Studio and the xTool Apparel Printer. My goal for this video was to walk you through the entire process, help you get familiar with Studio, and show you really just how easy this is to use. DTF is not often associated with easy. This printer really is. It really maintains and takes care of itself. The shaker oven on the bottom kind of does all the curing for you. You've got the purifier down there to make it safe. And the pressing process is really, really straightforward. So if you already have the printer, I hope that this gave you an introduction to Studio and you're confident using that going forward. If you are looking at getting this printer, if you think you might want this to add to your small business, I have a lot more videos on this printer. I'll link them down in the description. Definitely make sure you educate yourself and know what you're getting into before you make that purchase. If you have any other questions that I didn't answer here that you want to know, let me know down in the comments. I would love to chat with you. Right now, during the month of November, there are some amazing Black Friday deals going on all xTool products, including this printer, the shaker oven, and the AP2. They are linked down below. Take advantage of these deals before the end of November. If you liked this video, if you found it helpful, give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. I am here every week with new videos, helping you move forward in your creative journey. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.